Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave. And they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
What up? This is Myron, and you are listening or watching the Rye Bread and Mustard of Mariners podcast. At Down on the Docks on the other side of the track, 5-star dive bar, where I am currently live down here at Tacos and Tequila, just right outside of T-Mobile Park. The vibes are good down here in Hano. It was a pretty tame start to the day. It didn't seem like as many people were down here hanging out like the previous playoff game that we had here the last time I was here. Big Seahawks crowd. But hey, now everybody is a big Mariners fan in here right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Glad you're down there enjoying it. I mean, from what it was going to be a most incredible Seattle sports weekend, got off to a tough start, followed by, the Seahawks devastating loss today, going into it being possibly the worst Seattle sports weekend. But by golly, the Mariners did it. After 24 miserable years, got their first win in the playoffs. And it wasn't easy.
It was not. And being down here, it was like an extra stress. And not going into the game and being here at Tacos and Tequila, which is great. There's TVs wall to wall. But there was one particular TV that was a little bit ahead of everybody. But you'd also hear the music or the noise from T-Mobile Park that would kind of tip you off a little bit. But then you started to be like, anytime you heard any kind of noise, you thought something good happened. And then sometimes it was just, I don't know, probably the running of the salmons, or something like that was going on. Because, but it was funny because one of the TVs, everybody that was still in here started to figure it out. And they all just kind of like congregated around it like somebody was telling a story at the campfire. Then everybody went back to their seats here at Tacos and Tequila. But just watching the people march down Occidental and just having that good optimistic feeling today. Like I said, the start of the day, sure, there was lots of people here, but you had a lot of, upset Seahawk and Seahawks / Mariners fans. And I figured, before the Mariners game, this place was going to be busy, and it was. A lot of Mariners fans came down here and watched the Seahawks game. Then I thought it would be the reverse. I said, people are probably going to walk out of the Seahawks game and stay here. I don't know if it was the loss. I don't know if it was because it was a Sunday. I don't know if it was because Derek Skubal was on the mound today and the Mariners lost yesterday, but not a huge crowd during that part. I would say right now, after the game, now we are back to – we're feeling those good vibes, those season of the moment vibes, spotlight ready vibes. That's what I'm feeling right now. Everybody very optimistic. As you know, here at Tacos and Tequila, you come up that ramp, people keep coming by and screaming something, yelling something. We've already had Let's Go Mariners. No Detroit Tigers fans, but there are some Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans actually watching me do this podcast very awkwardly right now.
That's awesome. I love you explaining this vibe. I got to tell you what it was like around the city. So after the Seahawks games, I ran to get something to eat. Ran in this strip mall, that's got some food places and a bar. I back in and park, and I see a guy walking out, pulling off his Seahawks shirt, and he jumps in his car. And then I get out, and I notice him ditch that and grab a Mariner jersey and put it on to go walk back in the bar. And I said, my dog, you're with it. So it's really good to see these Seattle fans, having a good time all around the city, rooting for both teams. It was so cool.
This Tampa Bay fan that was just talking to us, he's come over to me and he goes, I cannot believe how loud T-Mobile Park. He said that place absolutely shakes. Pretty much anything that like Josh Naylor was saying or other people said. I mean, this is an impartial person that they're just here watching the Bucs Seahawks game. He said the Seahawks stadium was loud, but he knew to expect that. But he said that was the loudest MLB stadium he's been to. And he said he's been to some crazy nights down at Petco Park.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we know as Seattle fans, we roar when we're in the games. I mean, going back even to the days when we had the Sonics here, the Key was rocking too. I mean, that's just our calling card. We're behind our teams. We're jacked up in the stadiums. We're pulling for them. We're just loud. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And, you can hear, like I said, you can hear the stadium roar down here over the televisions and the music that's playing. But, yeah, the Sunday night's been a long day. There's been people I've seen down here. I mean, I got down here at the end of the about the end of the first quarter of the Seahawks game. And I'm seeing some of the people that were looking in pretty rough shape earlier, didn't think they were going to make it through the day. They're having a good time now. So anyways, let's just take a quick break and let's just talk about the game and the reaction of games 1 and games 2 really quick. We'll get through this quick reaction. Maybe we'll come back tomorrow and get a bit more in depth. We'll see. Anyways, we'll see how long this episode is. But thanks to Tacos and Tequila down here on Occidental for hosting us. Anyways, we'll be right back after this.
The moment where that band starts to play the warm-up music, not the theme music, the music that y'all don't hear, when the energy picks up, when the audience is there, when the audience is getting loaded in and the band is playing, when all that stuff happens, it gives you a jolt of energy every week. And you're just like, man, I got to do this. I get to do this. Getting the first sketch on was like getting a single, maybe like a RBI. Getting called to Lauren's office in between dress and air and looking at the board and seeing that your sketch moved up from the 12:50 slot to the first act, that's when it's like, oh, we did something cool. That feels like a home run. That felt like a home run. That was Timothy Chalamet.
The game where you're like, okay, you got a couple of knocks. You got some home runs, maybe hit a grand slam, probably the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah. So the Dave episode was my like, oh, he's a player, and we can like the Dave episode I could get talked about on the local ESPN affiliate the next day. Like that's what that felt like. It's like this guy might actually be adding some value to this.
You asked for the ball, right? If you're a player, give me that ball. I'm taking that home. Do you have the paper copy of that? Did you take something?
I do. I do have that. I got the cue cards from some of the jokes that I have in the sketch.
Oh wow. All right, so obviously game 1 did not end the way we wanted it to end. Gut-wrenching way to start a series off just with all the hype and how we were feeling about the Seattle Mariners going into the series and going around and seeing everybody pick the Seattle Mariners on all of these brackets that you're just like, okay, this is weird. We're getting some respect here as a Seattle sports nation. Anyways, Game 1, we could just briefly go through it and maybe focus on what we just saw here. But I think we all chalk it up to people want to point fingers at maybe letting George Kirby pitch to Carpenter, a guy who had 4 home runs out of 10 at-bats. We could point to maybe some base running, maybe some substitutions or what pitchers came in. But at the end of the day, the Mariners did not hit. Outside of Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh, everybody else in that lineup, that's where I think the responsibility would go for that and accountability for it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. That was a good way to summarize, that game up very quickly. And, I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but, a series going in the playoffs can tell you a whole story where you're jumping back and forth between, game lines and timelines. And, in this second game, I felt like a lot of what happened in the first game leaked into this second game, what I was watching. And that's just part of the roller coaster of being in an MLB playoff series, facing two teams that are good. I mean, I'm with you. All the pundits pick the Mariners, but you got to remember Detroit was one of the best teams in Major League Baseball for the whole season. Record-wise, leading the Central, and then they at the end of the year they just crapped the bed. But I mean, it doesn't mean like they lost it. So I knew going in this series it was going to be tough. Every series is tough, and the Mariners play tight, close ball games. So it's just kind of what I expected.
Yeah, every one of these teams can come back on your ass. Every one of these teams still playing, can also just jump out the gates and probably jump all over you. All the good attributes that the Mariners have won games with, all these teams left have done that. And Detroit was doing it until they went on this huge, terrible spill here in the second half. But a team that matches up offensively coming into the series pretty good against you. Even though the Mariners won 4 out of 2 games, there's some absolute killers Mariner killers as we talked about when we were getting ready to do this series in the preview.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. I mean, from guys that we knew were Mariner killers, from the big names are not in the playoffs like Mike Trout. We know when we talked about Detroit that Carpenter is the Mariner killer. And, it was very interesting how he killed them in game 1. Dan made a totally different adjustment in game 2, and it worked out. So you live and learn. You make different decisions. What if he would have been unsuccessful in game 1? Does that mean then in game 2 that Dan's going to have Castillo go and let him face him again? Hard to say, but it was the right decision today. But there's just a lot of those back and forth things between games in the series. And it just really makes for a big storyline throughout. And it's going to be interesting to see if every time Carpenter comes up, in his second or third at bat, mostly third, if he's going to be seeing Spire and if he's going to get that locked in on Spire eventually and maybe could beat him. Maybe they'll go a different route. But right now it's certainly working.
Yeah. And you said it, adjustment, live and learn, right? And Dan Wilson lived and learned. That's his first playoff game as a manager. That was they kept on talking about in the broadcast. They kept trying to push that. This is his 60th. This is his first. This is his 60th. This is his first. And listen, AJ Hinch came out there and made the right moves, pulled the right levers. Dan Wilson got a little bit of a shiner from that. And he came back today, and the moves that he made today, and even go back into the last series, you could say still, I don't know if you're going on a scale of like 1 and 100, he's still at like a 96, 97 level of managing that he's done in the last couple of games. And he can only do so much. I mean, we pointed to it right away when I wanted to just summarize or, just talk about game 1 really quickly in a nutshell. It's like the guys didn't go out there and hit.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then you ended up giving up a base on balls, a wild pitch, and then, just a little bleeder up the middle. And people can question, oh, well, maybe he should have put that guy on first base and had Baez. I could see that argument. I actually liked that argument, but also that ball was not very hard hit. It was just in the right place. It was all about placement. You got the ball that you wanted. We've been seeing the bullpen get the ball that they wanted. And let's just call this out. That was the first hit that the bullpen had given up. The Mariners together as a unit, starters, relievers, how many hits have they given up in this entire series in 2 days? Less than 10?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what was frustrating about that first game, especially with your big dogs getting 6 hits each. Nobody else helping them out. But yeah, then today you're facing Skubal. And Castillo is matching him, And they had less than 5 hits today, and you're just seeing during the commercial breaks when they flash to the scoreboard, and just seeing how the M's are dominating them, or not dominating them. They just got way more hits, and the Tigers have hardly any. And I mean, the pitchers are doing their thing; they're pitching well, so that's a great sign for us as the series continues.
And for the hitters, game one. It wasn't like they were up there and there's all this swing and miss, this pitiful, shitty Mariners typical loss. I know, like, you could point and go going into game two, going like, wow, game one, that was the same result that we usually get from our team quite often, where they just kind of go sleep for a while. We talked about it. We probably have the best streaky hitters in baseball on the Mariners, and they're just going to go to sleep. And unfortunately, that happened in game one. Lots of missed opportunities. There's bad base running in the inning with Julio. But listen, Julio, I'm not going to spend time on that either or go down that route. I mean, he's a hero tonight. He was one of your heroes the night before. He is spotlight ready.
You're absolutely right, and I'm glad you brought that up. That was one thing going in this series. I was really interested to see how Seattle Stars would play because, if watching postseason baseball, the stars shine during this time of year. And to see Cal Raleigh and Julio have such an incredible game last night, or in game one, and then to come back and back it up in game two, and to be the catalyst to get on as the game's tied in the eighth, get on with a double, and then have Julio come back up and rip him home. I mean, that's all you ask for. So to see these stars shine, it's awesome. It's just everything we wanted.
Absolutely. And we talk about our X factor. We've cut videos. We've echoed this. You said it last episode. Julio is our star. Cal has been our rock and our engine for the season. But our X factor on the offense has been Jorge Polanco. And tonight, 2 solos from Polo. Again, sitting in here when he hit him, because the game's obviously ahead of the broadcast, you could kind of hear a roll, like a real, like a good little, like, almost sounds like a cow making a moo noise. And then all of a sudden you could hear some crackles. And then you look over, boom, home run. His other home run, somebody ran through the door and yelled home run before it happened, which was annoying, but also I'm glad it wasn't somebody going, he struck out. We blew the game. It was something good too. You were just like, all right, let's go, let's watch it. And then the second one was my favorite, just because we saw our good buddies out in Edgar's, especially bartender Tip. You can see him. Sorry, live show. Sorry. You can see him throw his hands up in the air. That one really pumped me up that second.
Absolutely. I mean, I was yelling hip hip and repeating myself saying Jorge, like I was in the crowd or something, just all by myself celebrating. But man, for him to you're right, that second one was beautiful. I mean, that first one was impressive as well, but for him to stay on that pitch, just amazing. I felt good about him, like we mentioned, going in the series, but I felt really good about him facing Skubal, and what does he do? He succeeds and pretty much won that game for us. If it wasn't some miscues down the stretch, but he's been fantastic for us. Let's see, he's 3 for 8 in the series. Just been a really good player, hitting cleanup for us as well.
And I'd say 2 of those outs, he tattooed the ball as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
One that went pretty deep as well. So he's seeing the ball good. You're doing good things after you hit a couple of home runs. You get a broken bat single, infield single.
Exactly. I mean, that was just right spot, right time. With they mentioned like a 40-mile-an-hour exit velocity. I mean, that has happened to the Mariners so many times, and it just kills me. It was nice to see that work out for our team for once.
Yeah, a pretty stressful situation was obviously in the 8th inning again. You're like, oh boy, here we go. Matt Brash, he does get a little bit of traffic on base, but he does get you that ground ball that you need. And Naylor, he's just kind of seemed so far this series, had a tough series, it feels like so far. He got a lot of other stuff going on outside the lines. I don't feel like that's a reason. I think it's just we've seen him be so flawless over there at first base, and you finally seen one that maybe he was rushing a little bit to try to do a bit much there. That air seemed to be pretty costly at the time because, of course, the baseball gods make you pay inside out swings or late on the swing, down the line, tie ball game. And, definitely you could just feel the vibes from that stadium down here. Occidental was quiet for a while. And that's how you know things were going bad, when there's just no noise out there on Occidental.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up earlier how this game was like deja vu to the first one. And what I mean by that, in that first one, you and I always talk about the leadoff walk by the guys out of the bullpen. Vargas did that through a wild pitch, base hit. In game one, same type of thing now. Leadoff walk, air, base hit, scores a run. You just see it coming before it even happens. You know what's going to happen. And I agree with you. I was pretty hot at Naylor at that time. I didn't like how he went down to one knee as an infielder. I've never been a big fan of that. But I also realized there was a man on first. He was maybe going to try to go to second and get the lead runner and start the double play. A very tough play for first base, and that ball was spinning. I just kind of wanted him to just get in front of it and just make the out at first. But, hey, I understand. But you know what? Which was really nice about this team, I was so upset, but Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh came up the next inning and picked him up.
Yeah, they sure did. I mean, let's just talk about it. Cal Raleigh so far hasn't hit you any home runs, but he's hitting the ball. And when he's hitting the ball like this, the big flies are going to come. And I have a feeling when he goes to Motown, he's going to do what he did there last time. I think you're going to be seeing a multi-home run game. It's coming.
God, I hope so. Every swing he takes, especially the ones he missed on earlier against Scooble, man, they were violent and they looked good, but he just missed them. But yeah, he's right on these pitchers. Base hit is just as good as a bomb. But I gotta agree with you. I feel good about him going into Detroit and getting some round trippers. You're right. He hit 2 this last game there. Julio's hit well back there. I mean, both those guys have hit well against Detroit. So. Just an exciting feeling knowing you're going back to Detroit 1-1.
Yes, I mean there's still the fear of not coming back. You still could lose 2 games there on the road, and the Mariners have been in the second half of the season. We know their stories, but their last road trip that they went on, a very meaningful road trip. They've taken care of business, and they actually ended their terrible road trip. One of the 2 terrible road trips, they actually ended it pretty high when they went into Atlanta and kind of changed their fortunes. And since then, they've been a pretty good team. But you have seen this team in the past just explode on the road offensively.
Yeah, they sure have. Which after being, like you mentioned, struggling at times down on the road trip back there, yeah, they've exploded. And even at the end of this season on the road. So. I'm not thinking anything about what happened during the season about being on the road. Yeah, I might think about what happened back in Detroit because that's, beneficial to the Mariners. But it's going to be a tough series, this whole series, but I got to agree with you. Get them away from home. They've played well on the road for most of the season. And I feel really, really good about where I feel about Logan Gilbert being our number 3 starter in game 3.
Yeah, did they ever officially? I haven't looked since we're recording. Did they officially just tell us the most no shit answer that Logan is going game 3?
Yeah, that during the pregame post conference, Wilson mentioned that he will be his game 3 starter facing Flaherty for the Texas Rangers.
We got a comment. We got some comments. Haven't got to. I'm sorry, guys, but payday. I think that's how you say the name. He said Polanco, Julio, and Castillo. Yeah, absolutely. Rock. We talked about it. We needed an ace, and we got it. And we got it out of Kirby, too. He made one mistake. But if you have a team that you've been scoring just under 7 runs, Kirby did his job. But Luis Castillo, tough assignment, especially knowing that your backs are against the wall. In a big must-win game, you come out there and for a while there, you're like, is this guy going to throw a no-hitter?
Absolutely. I mean, the rock down here late, in September, now in October, has been fantastic. The way he was spinning the ball, changing speeds, he's not quite in the middle of the plate like he has been at times throughout the season. He's narrowed it down to being on the edges, It's just been fantastic to watch him manipulate the ball and keep those Texas hitters off balance. He was a big key, big, lots of pitches in the first two innings, got that pitch count into the 50s. And then he seemed to settle down and gave the M's, 5+ innings to help out. I was thinking, what are we going to do? He's going to be out of here in the third or fourth, but he just settled in there and was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, going head to head with the current Cy Young and somebody that was getting himself into a groove, but they never let Scooble get in too long of a groove. He got into, he pitched great here. Don't get me wrong, seven innings strong. And that's what really scared me when they tied the game, because I was like, well, AJ Hinch let his starter go out there and go 7. So he's got more bullpen, maybe has a little bit more in the bullpen than the Mariners do, because the Mariners went early. Dan Wilson really didn't have a choice. He just had to go do that. If what you learned the night before, you didn't want to do it again. And if he could go back in time, he probably would have went to somebody else instead of having Kirby pitch. He didn't make that mistake tonight. And again, Gabe Spire is on fire. And let's talk about this too. The bullpen, we've talked about it all year long. Buzzardo, man, it just keeps climbing the ladder. I mean, he's in that trust circle. Now you depend on the guy. You went to you were like, hey, I trust this guy. Now you're like, you know what? Get that guy in here. Big game Buzzardo, back-to-back days.
Absolutely. And as this game evolved, and Castile, like I was just mentioning, went that 5 2/3. I start looking ahead and how this game's going to work out for the Mariners in the bullpen. And quite frankly, it worked out exactly probably how they wanted. Spire getting that extra out, going the following inning, followed by Buzzardo in the 7th, Brash in the 8th, who, wasn't his best, had an infielder kick a ball, and then Mooney, who has been on fire these 2 postseason games in the 9th. It worked out exactly how you would draw it up.
Yeah. Something that I would love to clean up. We all want to do it. The Mariners do have to clean up a little bit of this defense. Going on the run.
I totally agree with you. Those mistakes that they have made base running wise, some errors, that you just can't give teams in the extra out or a second chance. They've gotten lucky with some, in game 1, Polo overran the short fly ball in the right field, was able to have Robles come up and make the force out at second. The Naylor error, base running too, we can talk about that base running at some point with Julio, running into the tag. I noticed today, when he ran on the contact play when it was hit to third, I felt like he didn't take off right away. He kind of was looking at the third baseman and then decided to run. He still might have been out, might be me nitpicking, but it was just something I noticed. But, it doesn't.
I think the execution of that was not good.
No, I agree. So, I mean, things that, as a Mariner fan, you don't want to see just to give the team extra life and momentum, because we know how big momentum is in the playoffs. They just got to clean it up and they'll be fine.
You take away those mistakes. There wasn't a lot where you got beat in these 2 games. There was, okay, you made some mistakes. The way you design this game is you get 3 outs in it, and you give them 3, you give them 4. I'm sorry, you give them 4, you give them 5. That's the kind of stuff. Or when you only allow yourself to have 2 outs because you make mistakes like that. But yeah.
Especially with them not hitting the ball that well, it just kills you, because it's just that extra chance for them, giving them that extra life.
But these things that we're talking about, easily fixable.
Absolutely.
Getting them to hit better, we're going to have to see. I'm sure you're going to probably see. I don't know who they have here in Game 3 because we're doing this when they're doing the press conference, but I'm sure we'll see Flaherty at some point, 3 or 4.
He'll be in 3, and then Mize will be going 4. So that's what they announced already. And Dan only mentioned, like I said, Logan for Game 3. He hasn't mentioned a Game 4 starter yet.
I would assume if the Mariners win Game 3, you might see Bryce Miller start Game 4. We haven't seen him come in at all. We haven't even seen him go warm up yet out of the bullpen, so that kind of points to him as well. If the series gets that deep, you want to be able to come home here on Friday and have Kirby if you can take Game 3. Maybe if you don't take Game 3, then your back's against the wall. Then it's all hands on deck, then everything goes out the window of what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping we won't be home for a while. I'm hoping we get these 2 games in Detroit, and then, more than likely head to Toronto for Game 1. So that would be ideal. But the way this series is going, how close it is, I would not be surprised if we had to come back for Game 5. That's for sure. But like I said, I feel really good I felt great about this series, still do. Got Logan going in this first game in Detroit. I've really liked lately this last start against the Astros. Normal start. He had that splitter working. I just see Texas chasing. They strike out a lot. He's got that curveball and then his high fastball. I just feel really good going into this game, pitching-wise, with Logan Gilbert.
And if you're Detroit, even though you still have the home field advantage in the rest of the series, you've taken that from the Mariners. Fine. You didn't take care of an opportunity like the way you feel about last night, and you're like, you have to win this game. You absolutely have to win this game because you have school tomorrow and you're going to lose. It's the third time the Mariners have won a game that this guy started. And yesterday you made a rookie look like a Cy Young pitcher. That's just what the Mariners seem to do, and they're just going to do it. And I guess that's, you hope the lineup is nothing but future Hall of Famers and all-star pitchers. When you're playing the Mariners, when you start seeing these guys that you don't know their names, you're like, oh, it's going to be bad. I mean, there might be a no-hit.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see it. I'm interested in what you saw. You mentioned that we beat Scooble twice. I mentioned you previously, just you and me talking, man, it's tough to beat a pitcher 3 times. But what I wanted to know, if you noticed this, I felt watching the Mariners and their body language and their takes and everything when them in the batter's boxes game, I felt like they felt very comfortable against him. I didn't see any wild, outlandish swings. I didn't see hitters fooled way more than any other time. I felt like they had a good game plan and felt confident up at the plate.
Here's a thought. I do feel like the Mariners having the bye week kind of slowed up their bats and iced up their bats, and I think we're starting to see them thaw out of it, especially in this game. I feel like somebody maybe like Gino, that really might have been a hindrance to not play for a few days. And let's not forget they were playing at not at a high pace or at all with the Dodgers series. So the Mariners, I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying that may be a reason or a factor to this. And the Mariners aren't a team like the Dodgers or the team like the Phillies or the team like the Yankees or any of these perennial all-star teams that they've been in these situations. We're seeing a lot of firsts. We've seen the first win in 24 years at home, and that's great. That's cool, but it's also not something that I'm really hanging. I don't think any of them are hanging their hat on. But I mean, it's they're back in the game. They hadn't won a game or had a victory dance since the last game against Colorado, because you got swept against the Dodgers when you were, again, not playing everybody. And then you had all this time off where just seeing that, let's use a basketball metaphor, you've seen the ball go through the hoop, go through that net again. I think them seeing a W tonight just mentally is so good, on top of how important it is in a series.
Yeah, you know what I like? I agree with you there. I'm going to go back to where you were talking about the Mariners bats being a little out of it because of the rest. This is my thought on them getting that extra week. I think I can agree with you at points, that it hurt the bats, but I will say that I think it was a massive plus for them to get that week off for the bullpen and the starters. I think it's helped them tremendously. We've seen Munoz go back-to-back days, multiple innings. Spire looks rejuvenated. Bizzardo, all those guys, even our starters, I just feel like, if you can take that week off and get guys some rest, it helped the pitching staff a lot more than it helped the hitters.
We got another comment from, as you were saying that, Y2K Ha, Spire's going to pitch every game in the series and be nailed. Yeah, it seems
I
like
agree.
it, especially when you only have to go back-to-back a day off and do this. Yes, I would expect your bullpen to be pitching in every single game, all your high-leverage guys. Munoz, thank God there's a day off tomorrow, but Munoz looked just as – you could point it to any one of those innings. I couldn't tell you. If you just did a taste test and blindfold test me and go, what was his first inning? What was his second inning yesterday? And what was the inning that he pitched in game 2? They're all as dominant as the other one, all three of them.
Absolutely, and we know from watching it as fans, we can tell out of the chute. That slider was crisp and had that massive bite. He was getting his fastball in the strike zone. You're just like, woo, we're looking good. So he keeps it up. I agree with you. These guys are going every day, and hopefully, like we said, if we see just these 4 guys, Spire, Bizzardo, Brash, and Munoz, that's the ideal game for the Mariners, and we're going to have some success, I feel.
At least Payday says at least one win on road, but preferably both. Yeah, I would love the time. I would like them to go hard here in the next 2 days. I'll let you take this one.
Julio, hell yeah, Vladdy Daddy.
Oh. Full circle, baby. Let's see. Look, Spire, look at Y2K. It said, look at his stat cast. Sneakily very elite. Oh, we know he's elite. I think the rest of the league doesn't know he's elite, and I love that, especially in the playoffs. Like, who the fuck is this guy? By the time you figure out what he's doing, you're fucking already fishing down in Cancun.
Absolutely. He's been a rock for us this whole year, and he's been the reason, at least in this game, to hold them and get, in that big inning in that leverage situation. He's a massive key into this series, as Y2K as mentioned.
We still have the X factor that we don't know about, the baby nails. I'm hoping, as a fan, you're like, I hope maybe this can be done on the day off. And I'm sure the Mariners got like private jets waiting for him. And I didn't know if there's any news. Is he going with the team right now, or is he going down to be by his wife's side, considering there's an off day tomorrow? Has that been discussed, or are we a little bit early, premature recording right now?
I think it might be premature. It might be something since we're recording. We haven't heard it. I kind of got the feeling that if she went into labor, that's when he was going to leave. Hopefully, for our sake, they have a healthy, successful pregnancy, and it's tomorrow. And I'm just looking forward to Josh Naylor not having to face lefties anymore in this series, because he has not looked good at the plate. And hopefully he sees a right-hander, in Game 3, and he gets his swing back, because up the plate he's looked not the Josh Naylor that we are used to, in my opinion, up at the plate.
Yeah, there's a particular first pitch. I think it was in the 7th inning or the 6th inning, off of Scooble, which I was like, "Oh, why are we swinging at that pitch that early?" But again, we don't know what you're looking at in the box, versus Scooble. Anybody doing anything silly or out of character against somebody that good, you really can't fault them for it. You're like,
no, you can't.
Absolutely nasty.
And you're seeing the best of the best from every team, whether it's their starters or their high leverage relievers. And we know that AJ Hinch is not going to give away an at bat to any of the Mariners. He brought in his best lefty both games to face Naylor, and was very successful and made Naylor look like he was lost up there.
We got a comment here. Shouldn't be saying premature, but yes.
Sorry. That's a good point.
Those two are not related. I meant like, are we early? Are we too early doing our broadcast before we know?
Yeah.
So if there's any
best to the Naylor family.
Yes, Jesus, of course. And listen, her due date already passed. Yeah, I hope, yes, everything works out as far as with also the pitching in the series, being shorthanded without Wu and just knowing you're going up against Skubal. That was something that any Mariners fan or anybody that has followed this series goes, that's an interesting shift, considering where Detroit was and the way they're playing right now. We're not playing that team that blew a bunch of games. We're playing the best Detroit team right now that they have, that they're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, best case scenario, we get up on them in game 3, get our foot back on the gas, win that game and put the pressure back on them for game 4. So they might have to decide, depending on the game turns out, maybe we got to throw Skubal in out of the bullpen in game 4 or whatever. I mean, like I said, I feel good about us facing him. But we definitely got to get back on the front foot and get that home field advantage back to us, with game 3. I mean, I'm just stating the obvious here,
That one guy from way back says second half. Oh wait, hold on. Here we go. We got some stuff. Naylor. Whoa, we got a bunch of comments over here on Instagram. We have Sloop Tavern. Naylor and Gino going to heat up in Detroit. I think so too. MLB Boss 2 at 22. Second half, Julio is a dangerous man. You're right. And postseason, Julio is a dangerous man. And Cal. I mean, let's go back. Who cares about the past? But people forget he was a menace to Toronto in that series 3 years ago. And he's playing great baseball right now. He got this huge double in this game. I mean, how big was that double, especially after the Mariners give up the
strikeout? Yeah, and first Rosarina strikes out. I mean, massive.
Yeah, you literally felt the momentum changing in Detroit, and then that double kind of brought it back up, and then Julio with the knock right there, and you're back. And then when Polo had the broken bat, I was like, oh no, we're about to bust this open. It didn't happen. You're right. There was that play at third base that we talked about. We're okay with the idea on the contact there, even though Rick Riz hates the contact play. But sometimes I'm all right with it, especially if you have somebody with some real good speed that can get a good read. Just didn't think the read was good there. We already talked about that. But
yeah.
SY2K Hog guy goes, I'm feeling an 8-run offensive performance tomorrow or Tuesday. I do. I feel like when the Mariners are kind of this group, at least in the last couple months, they'll have a couple of 2, maybe 3 games. And you go back to the Dodgers game, they didn't really have a big offensive eruption. One is coming. They are a volcano about to explode. That lineup is scary. 1 through 9 that you do not want to navigate through in the postseason. They are going to show up, and you're right. I feel like they're going to show up in game 3. And if they show up in game 3, usually Mariners can kind of back-to-back these big offensive runs versus the Mariners that we used to know that would score 9 runs out of nowhere and then go back to sleep for weeks. Where this one, if you looked at their meter, it's very up and down. Again, streaky hitters. I'll say it again. We have to line up with the best streakiest hitters in baseball, but there's the other side to that coin, and we've kind of seen that other side of that coin in these first 2 games. I think it's time they're going to break out here.
Yeah, I agree with you. You mentioned it to me after game 1 where we didn't have anything from Naylor and Suarez. I agree with the person at the Sloop Tavern, feeling that both those 2 guys will have a big breakout game on the road. I mean, yeah, it's coming. So excited about it, that's for sure.
Well, I think we pretty much talked about everything I know we said, look, we missed stuff. We'll come back tomorrow. I think we've done a good enough job to let this thing sit here and live for a day or so, but we'll definitely be back maybe together in person. I just got up here to Seattle, but of course, after game 3. Oh, you have something?
Yeah, I do want to say, it just reminded me. I think Major League Baseball is so screwed up that they have the playoff games on at noon when people got to work. I mean, what's up with that? I get it, but the NBA doesn't do that. NFL, hockey, all the games are at night. You know, they'll stagger the schedule. I mean, I'm just disappointed that I won't be able to see every pitch Tuesday, and that bugs me. And so that's just my rant right now. People got to work, Rob Manfred.
Hey, and if that bothers you, wait till you look at what the schedule looks like on Wednesday. I think they're starting at noon. So,
yeah.
I would assume Game 5 is back at prime. I hope we don't see a Game 5 because the Mariners do what we're saying they're going to do. We're back being optimistic. Hold on. We got another one in here. Stat Pack Matt Adventures. Cal is flying under the radar right now, and that's a good thing. Yeah,
Absolutely.
if you can get through a couple of games without him hitting a bomb for you, that's huge. We also have Suarez is having a home run series, and Naylor having they hit games.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
That might be during our breakout game that you mentioned that you feel it's coming too. It's got to be.
Yeah, and I think Logan is poised to give us one of these Walter games.
Yeah,
He's been sitting around like a caged animal for a couple of games. And he went from having a game where his back was all the way against the wall, where now he has a chance to seize the moment, as they coined, as Ichiro has coined, to go out there and take back control of this. And I think if the Mariners get game 3, they will close it out in 4 as we picked. We knew that one point in this series we were going to get a loss and the world was crashing down on us, and that was yesterday.
Yeah, it was that, but that's the up and down roller coaster of the playoffs. You know, it's going to be like that. Nothing's going to be easy. We'd like it to be. This game sure felt like it was going to be easy, and it turned out to take a U-turn at the very end there in the 8th inning. So as you and I were counting down outs to each other, you know, and we got down there, and finally we got to only 3 left, and Munoz shut the door. So that was a good feeling.
And those last 3 might have been not anywhere as scary as the other innings.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was in command. Well, it was good to be down here at Tacos and Tequila. I want to say this. They have over in the other room in the middle of this, Joe comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I don't want to jinx anything, but come here." He takes me on the other room. The other side of this place is amazing. I just didn't go over there because he said the internet was a little shaky, so I'm in our usual spot. But the other side's amazing. It's like a bourbon and barbecue feel on the other side of Tacos and Tequila. He brings me over there. He's got a Mariners Trident over there. They're the same one that JP and the Mariners ordered.
Really?
Tell you what, that thing is heavy.
Get a picture with it. Put it out on social media if you can.
Yeah, it's in here. He said he wanted me to break it out after the game, but I'm sure somebody else did. But he also was like, I don't know. It's just right on the wall. You can grab it. He goes, maybe somebody's gonna stab somebody with that thing one night. Yeah, he goes, that thing is a real deal. You know how you keep hearing stories that people say, oh no, that thing is heavy. I think Naylor came over and was like, damn, that thing. It is. It's a take off the wall with 2 hands. Then
okay. So it's already on the wall. That's good in a way. I was worried about the ninja getting his hands on it, possibly.
Oh, yeah. Ninja too hot for the podcast tonight. Also, a shout out to Al's Gourmet Sausages out here. 2 locations. Our favorite hot dog spot. Shout out to him. Shout out to Gary, not Randy. Also, visit In the Clutch Apparel. They're going to be popping all kinds of stuff out. They probably lead the world in Big Dumper shirts. They give Simply Seattle a run for their money, if you ask me. InTheClutchApparel.com. Use promo code Rye Bread and Mustard. And also, like we said, make Pioneers Tacos and Tequila your pre and post game sports cantina location, located at 1021 Occidental Avenue South. And of course, you want that Rye Bread merch. You see me right here. I'm rocking it. I'm rocking the rye bread. I got the street cred. If you want the street cred for rocking the rye bread, hit up at simply.cora. Hit up on Instagram or Etsy's. All right, Hannah, with that being said, the vibes are good. I'm looking out the window here. The Etsy mustaches are rolling. Oh, I do want to show you one thing. One thing. And you saw this. I sent it to you. Hold on. There was the Etsy witch, and now there is the rye bread and mustard pumpkin for October baseball, provided by at simply.cora. So this is our new. We got to bring the rye bread and mustard pumpkin.
That's beautiful. That's so cool. I feel so good now. Since we got it, we won a game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Out with the Etsy witch. In with the great rye bread and mustard pumpkin. See, we're giving it the great rye bread and mustard pumpkin.
So cool.
Yeah. Anyways, at simply.cora, take care of all your stuff. We got a message. Oh, that's sweet. We got one more. Not trying to say look too far ahead, but let's just say we play the Blue Jays in the ALCS. Do you think the front office will relegate ticket sales to regional? Yes. Let's just not get to that yet, but that'll be something. If we're lucky enough to talk about, we'll talk about it. We got to get through Detroit right now. We got to go into Motown and just grunge them to death.
Absolutely.
I think I'm gonna land on that. So, with that being said, Hannah, you know what time it is. Charge.